Okay, welcome back everybody. This is another video on the EDC X9L. This is my everyday carry gun. Up until this point, I'll probably be making a change here shortly to another variant of the X9 guns, which I'm a super big fan of. This gun has over 11,000 rounds through it, and we've had some people request to see how the gun is holding up, and you will find that the gun is holding up very well. To give you a little bit of the background on the gun, I am not someone that you would call a casual shooter or, clean it every 200 rounds. Because since we run a gun range, we're shooting almost daily. A typical training session, a light training session could be 150 to 200 rounds. A heavy training session could be 500 or even more. So, this gun gets completely thoroughly detail stripped. This might be the third time this gun's ever been completely detail stripped and cleaned on that level. So, we just shoot it and, lube it a little bit. It's not lube sensitive. It's not dirt sensitive. It has the standard factory 14-pound spring in it, and the gun runs like a champ. So I guess the first thing we will do is we will look at the frame. I'll zoom in here. Interesting thing on these frames from Wilson is that they even put the born-on date. This gun has a born-on date of 12/10 of 2019. I don't know what the F stamp stands for, but this is the frame. You can look at the rails. There is some wear on the rails, but it seems minimal to me. Here it is on the other side. Considering how much this gun has been shot and, by some people would say abused. I wouldn't think abused, but it's just, runs and runs and runs. These guns are super durable. This gun is in great shape. There's really negligible wear. On a regular 1911, you could even say that, this could be a few hundred rounds. As a matter of fact, I have more wear on the accessory rail, the pick rail up front, than I have on any of the rails on the frame. So I thought that was pretty cool. You can see some wear on the mag well. There's some wear here in the back where magazines kind of collide in a little bit. There's a little bit of wear here in the front. Still not that big of a deal. Guns looking pretty good. See a little bit of wear right here where the thumb safety hole, the pin for the thumb safety pivots, and the back strap. But I think the gun looks dynamite. I think it looks fantastic. So, a little bit of wear, finish wear on the magazine release. Let's take a look at the sear pin. You can see just, basic wear. You can see it obviously gets used. Hammer, the strut, there's the hooks. They look like they're in good shape. There's the half cock or the safety the safety cock. Where obviously on the face of the trigger, it seems even, or face of the hammer seems even. There's no, no surfaces on it, no cracks, and looks really good. The hammer pin, see some wear where it, where the hammer rotates on that pin. No issues. A little bit of surface wear on the outside, where it gets exposed to, being run. Other areas of interest. Firing pin stop. It's always a good idea to check your firing pin stops on 1911s. It doesn't really matter what the gun is. It is a point where it can where they will crack. And you even notice on this firing pin stop, Wilson, when they manufactured it, they left a radius in this corner because if they put a 90-degree, well, a 90-degree corner would be closer to the firing pin hole, but also if they cut a 90-degree corner in that would cause a stress riser that would traditionally crack, where you see them crack on 1911s. This case, it looks really good to me. Obviously, some wear on the face of it, but nothing unusual, nothing out of control there. Thumb safety, obviously very well used, single-sided safety. You can see some little bit of wear on the pin, hardly really not much. This is the the lever. Basically, the finish is worn off that because it's a high wear point between running it and even holstering it. I will say that, you know, the gun has 11,000 rounds through it, and I don't know how many dry fires and actuations of working the safety. I suspect on this gun that the plunger tube might be a little weak, so I may have worn this out a little bit, or maybe I might have put some wear on this little surface right here on the thumb safety. I would say that this is not as you know, like a firm click. I mean, it certainly is. It's better than any production gun. But I feel like this is probably worn in a little bit. So I don't know if maybe it's something where I can tune it. I did notice that I did have a little bit of buildup of crud in that, and I was able to scoop that out, and that might have made a little bit of difference. So, you know, it might be something to look at. I could replace the plunger tube or the plunger spring and see if that makes a difference, or maybe even stretch it out. And then at that point, I mean, it'll be fine, but I'll see if I can't get that to increase it a little bit. Firing pin looks good. No issues. I don't see any cracks or any deformations. Check the back of the firing pin. Radius, obviously, to keep it from getting stress risers. Looks pretty good. The piano wire spring from Wilson, these springs are rated for 20,000 rounds. So, you know, if you wanted to do a flat wire spring, you can. We have a flat wire spring kit here. We just never really got around to changing it. We could even do, you know, obviously we'd probably change the recoil buffer. My policy is if the manufacturer puts a recoil buffer in it, we're going to keep putting a recoil buffer in it. There might be a little nick right there where the recoil, where maybe there's just a little chip out of one of the sides of the recoil buffer. I do not, or the shock buff, I guess. I don't remember if we've changed this shock buff. We probably have, maybe once. So, you know, we'll have to go through the records and take a look at that. Now let's look at the slide. So, Disco rail has some wear on it. There's you know, possibly a few little nicks from just, you know, heavy use. Bottom of the slide, I think it looks like it's in good shape. It doesn't even seem like it's exceptionally worn. Inside of the rails, you probably really can't see. Inside the rails of the slide, they're not worn. They're not worn white. And another thing to check on guns when you're especially on really any gun, is check your firing pin hole in your breech face. You want to see if there's any scalloping or damage to your breech face, if you've had any primer flow, or where like maybe a round has been cutting the breech face of your gun. So, because that could possibly, you know, cause some malfunctions or slowdowns, or even damage or capture the firing pin and causing even slam fire. So, firing pin hole looks perfectly round. I don't see any issues. Yeah, looks good. As for wear, considering how much I use this gun, train with this gun, carry the gun, and travel with the gun, I think the wear is commensurate with, you know, with that use. I know a lot of you guys who are, you know, collectors or weekend warriors, any type of wear on finish, you know, you guys lose your minds. You're talking like, you know, maybe you got a Friday gun or whatever. This is a spray-on finish. I think Wilson calls it Armor Tough. I think it's a very good finish. I think it looks good as it wears. There's no corrosion. It's on the gun, which I think is a big thing, because that's something we had to deal with, you know, back in the 90s and 2000s. Was, you know, having to carry blue guns, and then the guns would corrode. This is a stainless steel slide, and it's got this Armor Tough finish that I also think kind of preps the material from, you know, rusting or being rust resistant. So it's pretty much a home run. Very happy with it. Wear on the SRO. This SRO was installed by Wilson Combat. It has never been replaced. As a matter of fact, we checked the torque on the screws, and the screws hadn't moved at all. The wear on the front objective of the SRO is not from brass. We've checked it on film. It doesn't, brass is never hitting this SRO. So what happens is, we've noticed is, if we're working the gun with our left hand, that sometimes my hand will rest up on the left side, and then on the right side, when the gun is holstered, that the holster can sometimes maybe collide with that. Also, this is the side of the gun that is facing out, since I'm right-handed, and this is the side that basically sees a lot of, contact or incidental contact during carry. So that's where all that wear is coming from. That is not from brass. So in wear in the back, incidental, you'll see there's more wear on this back corner. Obviously, that's not brass sitting in this back corner. It's the same thing. This side of the gun is, I'm a right-handed shooter. This is the side that's exposed out, and this is the side if there's going to be incidental contact, it's going to hit on this side. As a matter of fact, I recall an incident where I was training out in the parking lot. I was doing wind sprints, and this gun got dropped in a parking lot, and I remember the back of that red dot getting hit right there. Iron sights look good. I think the gun is looking like it's in doing dynamite. Very happy with it. Obviously, we need to check the barrel. The X9 guns, they don't use the radial lugs, which I'm a big fan of not doing on 9mm 1911s. I think that's a major pain point on 2011s, over-railed, over-lugged. The two radial lugs on 9mm guns, especially with the longer, the longer slides and frames, it's just too much. And so this gun locks like a modern gun, so it can lock like a Glock or a SIG, 226s, or any of the modern guns. It locks here on the hood. That locking surface looks clean. There's no issues there. There's still, as a matter of fact, I moved the bushing up. There's still some contact with the front of the gun. Obviously, bushings on bushing guns are consumables. They can wear out, and you can, get them refit. There might come a point when I can justify doing that, but the gun seems like it's fully accurate. I don't have any complaints. Also interesting that Wilson does this on the barrels, just like on the frame. They put a born on date on the barrel. So on the frame, we have a manufacture date of 12/10 of 2019. This gun has a manufacture date of June of 2019. I think that's interesting, especially as these guns age. I just like the fact that they put the kind of information, on the stuff, because you don't have to try to divine certain things by looking at some chart or some diagram, or like, first generation, second generation, third generation. I like the fact that they put some information on the parts. Slide stop, the fantastic Wilson X9 slide stop. So the slide stop, they sit a little bit farther back, and so they're eminently more reachable to the user from the back of the gun, or if you want to activate it with your left hand, but it doesn't get in the way. There's the wear on the slide stop. Probably not as, perfectly, even as maybe it could be. I'm sure some gunsmith out there is going to make some comment about, something with the slide stop. Everybody has their voodoo on that with the link and everything. But this gun runs great, shoots great, super accurate, super reliable. Very, very happy with it. Slide stop looks great to me. Nothing seems really worn out or chipped. No cracks. Nothing that would be an issue. So looking at all the commensurate parts, well, I guess we could take a look at the hammer hooks, or look at the sear hooks. Sear looks good. Sear nose looks good. No chips. Nothing I can feel. Nothing you can see. I probably have a hard time even zooming in on that. So no nicks or anything significant on the disconnector that I feel like it would cause any problems. No cracks. I think it looks good. That is the wear on the Wilson EDC X9L over 11,000 rounds. If you want to see any more stories or pictures or links of guns like this, please go to the website at John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun, everybody. Have a good day.